Welcome back to TNLP, the newsletter podcast brought to you by the HazMat Guys. I'm your host, Timmy, here with this week's top hazmat stories from around the nation. Big news out of the grant world, with the IAFF announcing they've secured a new 5-year, $7 million grant to continue providing first responders at or near nuclear facilities with the training they need to protect their communities. The award from the Department of Energy, or DOE, and the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, or NIEHS, represents a 30% increase over the union's previous 5-year award. Currently, 55 nuclear facilities are operating across 28 states in the U.S., each posing unique challenges for first responders. The new funding will support the IAFF's efforts to ensure firefighters are properly trained to respond to emergencies at nuclear facilities, such as chemical releases, radiological events, and other hazards tied to nuclear operations. This grant will allow us to train even more firefighters and other first responders to effectively respond to a nuclear facility incident, protecting workers and communities across the United States, said General President Edward Kelly. With the increased funding, the IAFF will expand its training, addressing the unique hazards at nuclear facilities. Programs include advanced hazmat technician training on chemical and radiological threats, confined space rescue, hazmat operations fundamentals, and a new responding to renewable energy course. Through these programs, the IAFF expects to train more than 4,000 firefighters in hazmat response, doubling the number trained under the previous grant. This funding ensures more firefighters are trained, equipped, and ready to protect communities near nuclear facilities, Kelly said. It's one more example of the IAFF's commitment to advancing the fire service, protecting our members, and keeping our communities safe. The news follows a recent $8 million award from the National Institutes of Health, the largest in IAFF history, to expand hazardous waste worker and hazmat disaster preparedness training programs. Learn more about the IAFF's hazmat training programs at iaaff.org/hazmat training. Make sure to check out the HazMat Guys' catalog of courses too while you're at it. Download the full course catalog at thehazmatguys.com/training. Moving right along, a hazmat situation in Yonkers caused a fire, leading to evacuations and train service disruptions in the area. WABC 7 tells us officials say the fire broke out shortly after noon on Tuesday inside the warehouse of a beauty supply wholesaler at 143 Woodworth Avenue, European Beauty Concepts, eventually escalating to a 3-alarm fire. They say there were household beauty chemicals in containers on a pallet inside the location. Officials believe a forklift moving products around may have damaged one of the containers that caused it to spill, creating a reaction and a toxic cloud of hair and nail treatment chemicals. About an hour into the incident, the chemical reaction intensified and created an exothermic reaction which initiated a fire inside, which quickly turned into a 3-alarm structure fire, said Yonkers Fire Commissioner William Fitzpatrick. The chemicals fueled the flames, and it became a much bigger job for the fire department. It was kind of jarring because I was actually working, so all of the power went out. And then looking out, we saw all the smoke billowing out, said Veronica Coates, who lost power. Initially, police had everyone shelter in place as they went throughout the neighborhood to check on residents. 7 homes on Lamartine Avenue were evacuated, but no buildings were damaged. Officials say no civilians were injured, but a few firefighters were treated for minor injuries. The smoke drifting over the Amtrak and Metro North tracks along the Hudson River from the chemical fire caused the MTA to shut down the train tracks for several hours, disrupting service. The fire has been placed under control. Neighbors returned home after having to wait until it was safe, but were worried about the chemicals, which were capable of doing so much potential harm. Our next 2 stories reveal there could be more to the chemical fire that broke out at PBTT than a simple accident. For context, CourierPress.com reported crews from more than a dozen different agencies are at the scene of a fire in Warwick County that has prompted officials to issue a shelter-in-place advisory for some nearby residents. An official with the Ohio Township Fire Department said at 10 p.m. that air monitoring continues. The fire, first reported around 2:40 p.m. on Saturday, September 6th, is PBTT Manufacturing at 5622 Van Road east of Newburgh, according to emergency management officials. According to the company's website, PBTT's facility in Warwick County is a 40,000 square foot manufacturing operation that houses a multitude of different equipment to heat, treat, machine, blast, polish, buff, mass finish, anodize, coat, and plate metal and polymer components. As winds have shifted and subsided throughout Saturday afternoon and evening, officials with the Warwick County Sheriff's Office and Ohio Township Fire Department have made adjustments to the shelter-in-place advisory area. In an update posted to Facebook at 10 p.m. Saturday, Coulter Tate of the Ohio Township Fire Department said that the Indiana Department of Environmental Management was among the agencies responding to the fire. Currently, our air monitoring is showing no readings, and we are doing air monitoring in multiple directions from the incident scene, Tate said. We're monitoring for the chemicals that have been listed from the facility and that we know are part of metal plating manufacturing. Tate said that among the chemicals they're monitoring for at the site are hydrogen sulfide, cyanide, and carbon monoxide, but we have not shown any readings for those. Upon further investigation, reports from 14 News revealed PBTT had previous fires and OSHA violations before the chemical fire on Saturday. The news outlet shares that since Saturday's chemical fire in Newburgh, 14 News has been investigating past events involving the company, PBTT. This isn't the first fire that happened in the facility, and it's not the first time a hazmat team was brought in. Last December, 14 News reported on a structure fire at PBTT. Officials at the time said Ohio Township fire crews worked to put out the fire, and a hazmat team from a neighboring county was called in for safety reasons to assess risks of chemical exposure. 1 year before the December 2024 fire, a different type of crew was called in to investigate safety concerns. On October 11th, 2023, a complaint was filed with the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, and the Indiana Labor Board. The contents of that complaint are not available online. However, what we do know is that the complaint triggered an inspection of PBTT's manufacturing facility in Newburgh a month later. After the inspection on November 14th, OSHA posted the report on its website, noting 4 serious violations with multiple sub-violations and penalties. One was for hazard communication. OSHA's website notes this could include the improper labeling and classification of toxic and hazardous chemicals. Many community members have taken to social media to express their dissatisfaction with how communication has been handled during the fire and after it was brought under control, singling out responding agencies and media outlets. However, throughout the course of yesterday's fire, a list of chemicals involved was never released to the media or to the public. And last night, when Henderson Emergency Management lifted the county's shelter-in-place order, officials commented on Facebook they never received an accurate list. In a press conference today, officials say they need more time to conduct further analysis to positively identify which combustible metals or chemicals were involved. A second OSHA violation in 2023 was for compressed gases, including acetylene, a flammable and hazardous gas, which is commonly used as fuel for manufacturing metals. This citation could include the improper storage, inspection, or use of toxic chemicals and other materials. PBTT's website notes that its production process does include blasting, machining, and other work involving metals. Another violation was for respiratory protection. According to OSHA's website, this could include anything from improper ventilation methods to not ensuring portable respirators fit employees properly. And the fourth citation revolved around first aid, which OSHA notes could include not having medical personnel readily available or having improper on-site facilities to drench or flush eyes in cases of toxic chemical exposure. Today, 14 News emailed multiple PBTT employees, including the president and a board member, to ask about these past OSHA violations and both fires. At this time, we have not received a response. We have also sent an open records request to OSHA asking for the complaint and full text of the citations. Once again proving hazmat teams must be prepared for any scenario. Hey, you know the easiest way to keep your team on their toes when it comes to scenes like this one? The HazMay Guys just announced Nerd the Game has finally arrived stateside. Pending orders have already been packed up and are on their way. New orders can be expected to ship within 1 to 2 business days. Hurry, we've already placed the next order in anticipation of this one selling out. Get your set now at thehazmatguys.com/game. That's going to do it for this week's episode of the Newsletter Podcast, brought to you by the Hazmat Guys. Don't forget to subscribe to the weekly newsletter at thehazmatguys.com for links to TNLP and other hazmat shenanigans. Until next time, Timmy, over and out.